I'm here with Scott McGilvray to talk about his upcoming movie premiere at the Rio Theatre on Thursday, July 11th at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock the doors open, 7:30 is the beginning of the documentary festival, and you're headlining.
That's right.
So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Scott McGilvray, along with his son, have created a movie that is a topic very dear to our hearts about here in Santa Cruz and the water issues that we are both in the process of experiencing and looking to experiencing possible water shortages and what we're going to do about that. And your movie, which is called Water
for Santa Cruz.
Water for Santa Cruz, takes a look at this question.
That's right.
And tell us what made you want to make a movie, because this is your first movie, right?
That's right. This is my first movie. I have always been captivated by water my entire life. When I retired as a landscape contractor, the one piece that I wished to remain in contact with was water conservation. I had learned how to do water conservation because I lived through, as a landscape person, the drought of 1976 and the longer drought of the late 1980s. And I acquired some skills that I am proud of, and they're very useful. And I wanted to see if I could adapt those skills to the technology of the 21st century, which mainly meant could I take those principles and put them onto the internet. So I did that starting in 2006. I built a website where people can get their own water budgets and track their meter readings and see how they're doing. And I found that it's hard to communicate with bar graphs and PowerPoint presentations. But I had some success working with my son at making small videos, small films that showed what the water-aware principles are about.
Oh, so this isn't your first movie?
It's not my first movie. It's the first movie I've ever tried to show to the public.
Okay. And so what's the name of your website?
It's called WaterAware. My company is called WaterAware.com. WaterAware.net.
WaterAware.net.
That's right.
WaterAware.net.
Right.
Okay. And so you've been an activist, would you say?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm a conservationist. I am someone who is available and wishes to help people who want to save water. I really don't have time for people who want to argue about it, but if you want help saving water, I can help you. That's what WaterAware is.
That is so needed right now. The world is changing. The water is rising. Salt water is rising. The fresh water is disappearing and being contaminated. And what activated you to make this movie now?
Well, I've been interested in Santa Cruz and their preferred method of supplying additional water to the community, which is building a desalination plant. I knew there was a pilot project when I moved to Santa Cruz 12 years ago out at the Long's Marine Lab to do a test of a desalination plant. I thought that was a great idea. The university is here, we're right next to the ocean. Be a perfect place to do some science. So I thought that was a terrific idea. I visited it a couple of times. About 3 years later, I woke up one morning and read in the newspaper that we were planning to build a large-scale desalination plant in Santa Cruz, and I couldn't believe it. I was very surprised that anyone would contemplate that we would need a desalination plant in Santa Cruz. We have a redwood rainforest all around us. So I started to look into it, and I went to some forums, sponsored by the Desal Alternatives group, and I began to read all of the reports that have been compiled over the years that discuss the Santa Cruz water situation and the availability of water that we have in the system that we presently live with. And then I began to go to water commission meetings every month, and occasionally a city council meeting every month. And as I became more involved in it, I began to speak. I would speak at the 3-minute public comment period at the beginning of the council meeting or the water commission meeting. And I found that no matter what I said, it was reported in the minutes that S. McGilvray made oral comments. And at one point I got upset at the subsequent water commission meeting, and I said, you know, there was substance in those comments, and it doesn't, the S. McGilvray made oral comments does not reflect the substance, and the substance, in my opinion, was significant. It was about 500 million gallons of water a year, which is the equivalent of the output of the Santa Cruz share of the Desalination Plant, and I want the minutes to reflect the substance of the comments. I mean, I prepared them, I came here, and I gave them to you, and I got no response. And a month later, the Water Commission introduced the legal opinion from the city attorney that said there will be no record in the minutes of anything other than the actions of the Water Commission. And I thought, well, all right, that's the way it is. And I was told that this is the standard of the city of Santa Cruz, and it applies to all commissions. The next thing I did was I applied for the Water Commission. I applied for the Water Commission twice, and went down and was interviewed for the job, and in front of the city council, which makes the appointments. And I have been passed over twice by someone else, and that, you know, I have no problem with that. The long and the short of this is that I have decided that my story, which I really can't tell in 3 minutes, but I can tell in a shorter period of time, my story of my search for alternatives to the desalination plant is worth seeing. So I decided I'd make my own movie. And I have, and it's 9 minutes and 30 seconds long, and the premiere is this Thursday night at the Rio. I've had a wonderful reception so far. People are willing to promote it. They're willing to come and see it. And I hope it starts a discussion in Santa Cruz about a real discussion about some other ways we could approach the question of additional water supply in Santa Cruz than committing to build a $130 million desalination plant. So that's how I came to make the movie, and it's been an interesting process, much more work than I thought it would be. But I really like what we produced. I think it says what I want to say as well as it could be said, and I'm really glad I picked this medium. I think it tells it much better than I could have in PowerPoints.
Scott McGilvray telling us about his movie, Water for Santa Cruz. Scott, thank you so much for making this movie and taking the time out to talk with me.
Oh, Nada, thank you very much. I'm really glad you're interested.
Oh, I feel that I need to support your voice being told as loudly as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.